Don, good to talk to you again.
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been, 1 year ago we were talking about the home free version of American Pie and talking about venue closures and everything. And I mean, thankfully we've got,
Yeah.
it's getting better. I mean, we're getting some performances around and everything. First question before we get to to 50 years 50 years of being number one. How did the reaction overall go to home free as the year went on last year?
Well, that was a really great thing for me. I think it was a great thing for them, too. And hopefully they're going to get back on the road now. I think we're deciding that come what may, we're going to go and start to do things and not shut everything down every time there's another variation of this thing. But it was a unique experience to have that record and that video be number one on the country charts for 8 weeks. And I got a lot of very good comments about my singing and about the whole thing in general. So it was very positive, the whole thing.
50 years ago right now, American Pie was in its second week at number one. It went to number one the week ending January 15th, 1972. Where were you? When did you find out the word that it had hit number one on the Hot 100 from Billboard?
Well, I was extremely busy from the fall right on through, and I was hearing about it and being told about it, and I don't think I had a subscription to Billboard or Cashbox or anything. I'd have a manager or someone from his office call me and say, well, the song is number 7 now, and I say, wow, that's great. And of course I could tell because the whole time the song is going up, you're drawing large crowds. So it just doesn't peak when it hits number one. It starts happening right at the beginning when people know something's going on. That was the thing about show business and the record business in those days is something would catch fire and it would go like wildfire through the population, and everybody would talk about it, write about it, and want to hear it. And, it was very exciting. Today with 500 different stations out there, I don't think that is the same thing anymore. I just think somehow you hear that it's there or whatever, and you might hear it somewhere. But in those days, there were very few. There were only 3 stations in New York that played the top 40, so you got played all day long in New York City and Chicago and Los Angeles, everywhere, and you were basically the only show in town when you were number one, so it was a different thing.
The song was split into 2 halves to fit the final 45, and then, as I understand it, that eventually stations started to go back to playing the original because that's what people wanted to hear. What were you hearing most on the radio, and did you mind that stations in some cases were playing the half version? What were your thoughts on how for commercial reasons?
What happened was that people don't really realize this, is that I was an underground success with the Tapestry album. That was an album that was made for FM radio. Underground radio was called in those days. And every channel had an AM and an FM. And the FM was the guy who was the hippie type intellectual, he kind of talked like this, and here's Don McLean, this kind of thing. And the top 40 was, yeah, and it's top 40, he'd be loud and brassy. So I was getting a lot of airplay on FM radio with Tapestry. So immediately when my second record came out, the FM stations played the heck out of it. And that caused millions of people to hear the 8-minute version of the song. And at the time, the 3-minute version was climbing the charts. They were saying, this is garbage, you have to play the whole thing. So they didn't have the technology to play the whole thing except on tape. So either they brought a cassette in the studio or I must have sold a lot of 8-tracks, I would guess also, because, that was the only place you could hear it all in vinyl or 8-track. You couldn't hear it on a single because it could only get 3 minutes plus on one side. So they brought the album or a cassette into the studio and played the full version, and that's how the full version then became number one. It was because of the success that I had with the first album on FM radio, and the fact that millions of people heard the album and heard the full version of the song.
Did you expect it to stay at number one as long as it did? 4 weeks at the time was considered pretty long for a number one hit. Did you think it was going to stay there that long?
I think it's still there, if you want my opinion. I don't think it's moved. I think it's still a number one song, and I think it still blows away anything that's on the charts right now.
Did you, and in a way, I mean, if you threw every single song that's out there right now and mashed it up into one radio station, I think you can make a pretty solid case for it to still be played a heck of a lot on the radio. Everyone knows all the they know all the lyrics to the song. It might as well still be ranked right up there. But in terms of chart accomplishment, did you ever have your eyes set on getting a number one, or is that something that just kind of comes with the territory, and if you get there, great, but you want to have more artistic integrity?
No, I have no integrity at all. I will take any number one record I can get as long as I like the song and I've sung it as well as I can sing it. I don't have any problem with commercial success. I have had a problem getting commercial success because I do so many different kinds of music. Wonderful Baby is not like Vincent. Vincent's not like Dreidel. Dreidel is not like American Pie. American Pie is not like And I Love You So. They're all very, very different. And that goes for the hundreds of other tracks that I've recorded. So every now and then, I've had success. Crying was number one all over the world. Vincent was number one all over the world, and didn't do as well in the United States. Got in the top 10, and the Crying, I think, was number 5 or 4. And Pie was number one here, but didn't go to number one in England. So, I've had an international thing going on with those songs during those years, and the album sold very well. But no, I never thought about commercial success. That I really wanted to make an exciting record or a beautiful record or something that didn't just lay there. And I made plenty of records that did just lay there, but I was always looking for something that was going to lift up and grab you, and that you would want to hear again. It's like anything else. You want to hear it again. That's the thing. Play it again. It's okay to hear something once or twice. You don't want to hear it anymore. It's the same with a lot of movies. You see them once, you never want to see those movies again. But then there are some that you want to see over and over.
Well, it lasted for a long time, and it's still going. 50 years since it hit number one, the 50th anniversary tour coming up later this summer, coming downstate in Milwaukee, June 18th. Don McLean, thanks for talking with us once again about the enduring American Pie. Have a great rest of the year, and have fun on tour later on this summer.
Thank you, and I wish all the best to you, too, and your listeners. Thank you very much.